Are we supposed to talk? Oh,
I'm supposed to do my intro, Dan.
sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, resellers across all platforms, welcome to the greatest. Wait, I messed up. Pocket Change Podcast now presents the greatest reseller podcast in the world. It's Joe Philly Picker, Dan Indie Man, and I'm Jimmy Old School Flips. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
What's up, Jimmy?
I didn't understand anything you just said.
It's so much better when I mess it up. Like it's so much. It's for the listeners, not the viewers. The listeners.
The listeners.
Well, you sound like you're upbeat.
I'm the only one here that is upbeat because I got a couple sick co-hosts, guys. We need to go for the sympathy card here. Both my co-hosts are not.
No, I think we played
guys.
the sympathy card last week, right?
We got to play it every
Wait,
week.
or is it just me last week that was playing the sympathy card?
It was probably just you.
Yeah.
I have to wrap myself out because I was feeling better, and my mother told me to keep taking my medicine, and of course, like
Take
why would
medicine.
I don't want to listen?
Let me guess, you did it.
I didn't because it was like she's like, why didn't you take your medicine? So like I was just taking some NyQuil, and I don't remember when we filmed last week. It was after New Year. It was like the day after New Year's, but like
Tuesday.
New Year's Eve, I wanted to stay up till midnight, so I didn't take it. And then like on New Year's Day, I was trying to watch like a football game, so I didn't want to take it. And then the next day is when we recorded. I don't remember what I wanted to do that day, but it was something. And so I didn't take my medicine. And then I'm fine. And then I was taking Dodger for walks yesterday. The first walk, I was like, man, I don't feel so good. And then after the second walk, I just coughed the rest of the day. Just coughing.
That's the worst.
I have a sore throat, and my nose is. I mean, to be honest, I feel like I have boogers all up my nose right now. And then I'm sitting here, and I don't have a camera. I mean, not a camera. I have a camera.
This is great podcast.
I don't have Kleenex
content right here.
Kleenex.
If you could blow your nose while we're recording, that would be the best possible.
I don't have anything to blow. I'm probably blowing into my shirt, I think, if I have to.
Don't do that.
Or if you're watching, I'll just have like one of those. I'll have like a. Oh God, it's disgusting. Never mind. I'm not gonna say it.
So, Jeff,
just something dripping. This a little drip.
You don't need snot bubbles.
Joe, do you have your microphone on?
I do. Can you not hear me?
Like you just sound different.
Yeah, you're like.
Right.
Well, maybe it's. You're sick too? Duh. Jimmy.
But is it an echo or is it just?
No, it's a little bit of an echo. You got a new light shining from the side. For those of you listening,
I forgot to turn it off. Is
that the daylight? You got daylight? You got the window open?
No, it's just a light that I used to take photos over there.
And I had to move my monitor, so my cameras. We're all just different. This is like a whole new podcast right here.
Wait, no, I look the same, right?
Yeah, you look the same. Yeah,
miserable, right?
Miserable. Sick. You got like bags under your eyes. You're looking great, man.
I do.
Well, I'm sorry you guys aren't feeling good. That sucks. Like I've been able to avoid it. Like Sonia, my wife, has been sick for like 5 days now. She's miserable, and I'm just like the whole world is sick, and I'm just avoiding it. So I'm happy right now.
I blame my wife for everything that she brings home. She's a teacher, so she's around kids all the time.
Oh yeah, bringing home all the germs.
I don't have anybody to blame.
Yeah, Dodger? No, we don't want to blame Dodger. Dodger's an innocent dog.
No one would ever take my side over him anyway.
Have you been to the bins? I mean, if you go to the bins anytime recently, you can blame the bins.
I did go to the bins. When did I go to the bins? I wanted to go to the bins today, but we're recording today, so I didn't have enough time to get there and come back. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, I've been putting those little short videos out of the bins that I've been like some little videos of things that people find, like my friends down there. I actually have friends now, guys. It's pretty crazy. And like one of the comments was,
"How much time have you spent with them?"
Yeah, exactly.
We'll check in next week. We'll check in next week.
It won't last long. You're right. They don't know you yet, Jim. No, but like someone commented, "Be careful, you can get tetanus there," and you can. Another person commented, "What's that? Hand, foot, and mouth or disease?"
Yeah.
Like everybody's commenting all these like illnesses you can get. And then while we were there, some guy busted his hand open on a cheese cutter, and he was bleeding. They had to shut down operation, move bins out of the way.
So do you wear gloves at the bins?
I wear gloves, yeah, for sure.
Like, are they like work gloves or are they like surgical gloves?
So they're mechanics gloves.
Oh, mechanic. Okay.
Actually, so I asked for a pair for Christmas. So Sonia got me a pair of mechanic gloves for Christmas. That's the best way to go. They got the good fingertips on them. They usually got some good padding on them. So I highly recommend for the bins mechanic gloves.
Okay.
Sonia wears Pittsburgh Steelers gloves that we found at a yard sale, and we're not even Steelers fans.
Like gardening gloves, like gardening gloves or something.
No, they're just like winter gloves. They're Pittsburgh Steelers gardening gloves.
Well, like I have bear. Well, I don't have them anymore. I used to have bears. I used to think when I first moved into my house, I wanted to become a gardener.
Wow,
like
interesting. Wait
so
a second.
I was all
you chose YouTuber instead, which is interesting. But
I'm no YouTuber. I'm no YouTuber.
Let's not skip over the gardener.
Yeah, let's not skip. What did you want to grow? Like what kind of stuff?
So at first, I didn't really understand. Oh God, I didn't understand what gardening was. I was in my early 20s, which doesn't make it any better. But at first, I was going to do just flowers, and then I thought, well, maybe I should do vegetables. Like like actual gardening, but I was gonna do flowers, and
so what happened? What? No green thumb for Dan?
You're not really an outdoorsy type person.
YouTube channel right there.
Oh no! Before, well, I didn't even hear what you said. What did you say?
Green Thumb Dan YouTube channel right there.
That sounds like some kind of disease.
You can get it at the bin too. You can catch that. Green Thumb Dan is something you can catch.
That's what I used to like because I just wanted to be like I'm not very outdoorsy. But so I thought like, oh, that would get me outside to do some stuff, and it just was.
Yeah.
I forgot. I think I had gardening for dummies, and it just sucked. I just didn't enjoy it.
Did you
later on, and then
Did you get any like how far along the process did you get? Did you try?
Thought about doing it and bought a book called Gardening for Dummies, and I had some Chicago Bears gardening gloves and probably a little shovel, maybe a little shovel.
Did you plant anything? Did you
plant anything?
My mom planted some stuff, and then I water it. I have one of those watering buckets, and I go water it.
You were like,
then that
put on your short.
That became like a hassle.
Dan was getting whistled at. He was out there in his short shorts watering the garden. He's getting whistled at and stuff. He had to stop.
I don't wear short shorts. I wear them right above the knee.
My question is, like, where you're at, there's not a huge season. Like there's not a lot of time before the ground freezes to grow stuff, right? Like you don't have.
I have no idea. I probably tried to sell that book on. I used to love reading those dummy books. Anything to do with I had eBay for dummies.
How that worked out?
I still have it.
I probably have it. Honestly, I bet you I do still have it because, like, what am I? I don't think I would have donated it. I bet you I have it someplace. And then I had starting a business for dummies. I had
any cooking books.
I probably do.
You've read all of these? You've read all those dummy books?
Like, I mean, I've probably skimmed through most of them.
Did you learn anything good from any of those books? Like, what's the best thing you learned from a dummies book?
I had New York for Dummies. And then, so this is a long time ago, but I like memorized, they had maps in there and I memorized the maps. So when I went to New York, like I like knew where I was going. Like it was like amazing.
You memorized? Like,
I
have like a picture, what is a photographic memory or something?
Oh, hell no. Oh, heck no. Sorry. But as I said that though, I think all their street, I haven't been there in like 20 years. All their streets are all numerical. So that's probably why I memorized them because I mean, I don't know.
Did you have like a compass out there in New York, like walking around the streets of New York with a compass and a memorized map?
No, I didn't do it very. You know what? I spoke too soon because I always say this. Well, I don't know if I always say this, but at least the last 2 episodes I've said that my mother doesn't listen to this. But I went to New York with my mother, and I just told you guys I just lied really because I said I memorized the map of New York and I didn't because. We went to
lost.
I was going to the Yankees game. I was gonna go to the Yankees game and they play in the Bronx. And before that, I'm like, oh, you know what, Mom? Before we go to the Yankees game, let's go to the Bronx Zoo. So we take the subway down to the Bronx Zoo. First, we got on the wrong subway and we're going the wrong direction, so we had to get off.
I don't want to do that in a big city.
We had to get off of that and then get on the other one, and then we were on the right direction. We get off the subway and then we're find the one end of the Bronx Zoo where the entrance is on the other side. So we're walking through there, and like when we were going through there, I think we we're by a neighborhood. I don't know if this is before we got right when we got off the train, um, or when we just got there. But we were walking through a neighborhood. There's like condemned housing, and there was some kids
No.
that were walking towards us. I remember like running across the highway at one point with my
You guys
mom.
ran across a highway with your mom?
Yeah, I don't know
Did
what
your
kind of
mom
highway. I don't know if it was like because we have like a highway that's Highway Route 6, which is, I mean, now it's like 4 lanes, but it used to be like a 2-lane highway.
Yeah,
Still, I
yeah.
mean, going like 45, 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So we had that, and then we got to the zoo, looked around, and then we were leaving the zoo. We saw some police officers, and we asked them, "How far of a walk is it to the Yankee Stadium?" Because we're gonna go to the Yankees game. And this cop is like, "You like, how did you get here?" I'm like, "Oh, we walked." And the guy's like, "You walked? That's absolutely crazy." And you can't walk to Yankee Stadium from the Bronx Zoo. I'm like, "Oh." They're like, so this cop, he
Oh,
went
no.
out into the parking, like the traffic or whatever, like the entrance or whatever to the zoo, stopped a cab driver. I don't know. I'm not gonna say what it was. It wasn't a yellow cab. They call it something else. I don't know if I don't want to say it because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it or not.
All right.
And the
Different-
guy, it was a guy who they said they want to go to Yankee Stadium. How much you gonna charge him? You can't charge him more than I'm telling you. So this is all pre-Uber anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
So the guy said $20. So we went there, and the guy told us never to walk from, and don't walk anywhere over here. Just take a train. And I don't have any idea why I'm telling you this, and it has nothing to do with reselling.
No, it's funny because it reminds me. I want to tell a Chicago story because I went for training for a job I had in Chicago.
On
It
eBay.
was actually
Oh.
when I was a refrigeration repairer.
Oh,
And they sent me there for 2 weeks, and we got the weekend off. So me and one other guy that were part of the class went to downtown Chicago. We're kind of like you, but I was lost. I had no. We went to go eat pizza down there. We took the train in. We were northwest of Chicago. Took the big train into downtown Chicago. Walked around, got lost, and then we couldn't find the big Union Station. Right, like the big Union Station to get back to where we were at. But we were on the above the one that rides above the street. We were
Oh, the
on that
L.
train.
The L.
The L.
Okay, the L. We're on that one. And it's just me
it
and
like
this other-
jerks. It like jerks.
Yeah. But what's
So
crazy,
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I have to tell you this real fast. So at Subway in New York, they just kind of glide off. So I was in New York, and then when I came home, I went to Chicago because I go to the Cubs games all the time. I take the L where they like jerk. It like jerks back and flies you forward.
it's like,
I stepped on a Lady of the Night's foot on
Oh!
the L.
Lady of the
nailed
night.
it. Nailed it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say hooker on
you
here. But
should
I'm gonna,
not say nailed and lady at the night in any sentence together.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
Oh, you nailed the Lady of the Night's foot. Okay.
No.
Got it.
Gotcha.
Got it.
So anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
So this is how the story went down. Like I'm gonna try to tell it the best I can. It's just me and this other guy, Caucasian guy, and we end up on this train that's heading in another direction that we don't know, but we don't realize that. But we notice, and we just get these two younger guys come up to us, and they said, "This is how it went down." They said, "Y'all are on the wrong train. You need to get off on the next stop and go back the other way." This legit happened. Like, and we were like, "Thank you," and because they were like, "You're going to the wrong neighborhood." They were being nice. Like they were like, "Y'all need to get off and go back, and then find the Union Station." I was like, okay, they were like telling us, "You're going the wrong way, guys. Like, you guys don't want to go this direction on this train." It's pretty wild. Like, I've never experienced anything like that. Anyways, that reminded me of that. Like, they were like, "Head back, guys, head back."
Joe, do you have any kind of story you want to talk about before that has nothing to do with reselling at all?
No, I have a
We hit the
Chicago.
trifecta.
I have a Chicago story, but I went out for the Eagles game. Bears one year. My wife and I went out. She wasn't my wife at the time, and we went out for the game. That's probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, maybe. And we went out.
A football.
We went out for my brother was running a trip that was going for a whole weekend because it was a Monday night. It was a Monday night Eagles Bears game.
Okay.
some guys went out early because they went to a Notre Dame game and then a Cubs game also. We only went out for the Cubs game and the Eagles game. We didn't go to the Notre Dame game. So we flew in. Dan, what are the two airports in Chicago?
Midway and O'Hare.
Right. So the guys that went out earlier, they flew into one airport with all the directions of what to do, how to get from the airport to the hotel and everything else like that. Well, Lauren and I flew in a different day, but we had the same directions and we flew into the different airport. Like we flew into O'Hare and all the directions were from Midway or something, vice versa. I forget what it was, but we also got on the wrong train. We got off the thing and we got on the red train, but it was supposed to be the red train from O'Hare. We got off at Midway. So we were on the wrong train, and also we were warned to get back on and go back the other way. And that's what we have. So it was probably like I don't know, it was supposed to be like maybe a half-hour commute from the airport to the hotel, turned into like 3 hours and dragging our bags around. But we got there. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Chicago. Chicago was fun.
Man, I'll tell you what, we were there in the winter, and like, you want to talk about scary when they're like, when you're walking downtown and they're like, you could die from icicles. Like, what? Icicles falling?
Falling on you?
Yeah, like, don't walk here.
I thought
like, what?
The Cubs had a really nice setup around their stadium. You know, Dan probably knows more about it. And
yeah, I didn't make it down there.
Yeah, that was the first time going there. It was my only time
down at Wrigley Field.
Yeah,
Wrigley Field.
The seats weren't too comfortable, but they were.
Oh, you didn't? I used to. Well, until I haven't been in a few years, but I stopped sitting in the regular seats. I always like getting the bleacher seats.
Yeah,
which hurts your back too. But
yeah,
the other ones they're too small.
We looked into getting trying to get into one of what's on the houses. The rooftops on the outside, not connected to the stadium. We looked into that, but I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was price or maybe it was sold out or we didn't do it in enough time.
I've done those a few times.
Yeah. They look fun.
Those are awesome.
What are the seats in the outfield like? Because I want to sit right above the ivy. Like, do they still do the ivy out there?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's, the bleacher section. They have a section, so I could be wrong because they've changed it a lot. I don't think there is a section out in the outfield that have seats that have backs to them. But the actual bleacher seats are like just general, just first come, first serve. When you sit right against the wall, though, there's not very much foot room either, so you're gonna be smashed.
Maybe one day.
Now, the last time I did it, it just got to be too annoying. I've gotten to that point where everyone out there's not everyone, but a lot of people get kind of hammered. Yeah, and I'm just like, don't feel like listening to it. People yelling and stuff like that. You just don't want to listen to it anymore. Like I just was like, I don't want to listen to this anymore. So
it's like a big party where a baseball game broke out type thing.
Yeah, and it just gets a little. But it's fun if you're only coming one time. That
was the only time.
That's the only time I ever want to go. I always that's where I want to sit.
And it was a Sunday day game, so it wasn't too bad.
Ooh, yeah,
that's fun.
Cool. All right, well, that's fun non-reseller talk, but we got to talk some reseller talk. And you guys,
it's
been a rough start to 2024.
Who
you guys have? Yeah, I mean,
like motivation wise, or
like I'm having to find some. I'm like my sales are down so much right now, but it's kind of like a mixed bag because I got a lot done. Like I got my inventory done. Sonia helped me. We cleaned up the whole basement. I went through and ended and sold similar I did a lot of I do it every year. I do a cleanup. Like half my store I ended and sell similar on just to refresh it and stuff like that. But
how long does that take you?
It took me 2.5 days because I don't do it in bulk. Like a lot of people like to do it in bulk. I don't do it in bulk. I went through.
You know how to do it in bulk.
And I probably did 500 something listings, and I went through each one, and there was mistakes in there. I still had stuff that had first class shipping on it that you couldn't even buy it because it wasn't corrected yet. Like if someone wanted to buy it from me, they couldn't even buy it because I had an invalid shipping service. So I did that. I changed prices. I messed with.
Wait, I have a question about that. Sorry, I have a question about that. So
yeah,
did you switch? Did you bulk switch it when you had to, or?
I wasn't able to because you should check. So when they made that change, unless you had a shipping
So long
rule,
ago.
like, and I don't understand how shipping rules work, but I know
Like a
if you
policy?
had a shipping rule, you could just change it right there in the rule and it would update all the listings. But I don't have shipping rules. I do each listing individually shipping. So I had
Are
to
you
go
saying
in there.
shipping rules like shipping policy, like a
Yeah,
policy,
policy. Yeah, I'm
business
sorry,
policy?
policy.
No, I just didn't know if it was something different. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
have business
sorry.
policy. I don't have business
No,
policies.
me
Yeah,
either.
me either. So that's exactly what it was. So if you had a policy or a rule, you could go in there, change it first class to ground advantage, and it would fix them all. But I didn't have that. So I did have to go individually through all my first class items, and I probably missed 10. And so I had like 10 things on my shelf that were all still but I fixed it, so that helps. And those items are already starting to get some views. I think I already sold one of those items.
Is there a
Um
way to see how can you bulk look at that
I
now?
don't,
Oh gosh, I don't
I
even
don't
know.
know.
It's
I
because
Yeah.
it's so long ago. I don't even remember what I did, but that's
and I can't tell you because, like I said, so what I do is I did it 10 at a time. I would end all. I have like this format that I use. It works for me. It's not for everybody. I would end 10 items, end 10 listings, then I'll sell similar on all 10 of those. And while I'll do one at a time, and I will make my adjustments. Then I'll list them. Then I'll go in and I'll delete. Then it's not till they're all relisted. I delete the stuff I ended, and now they're not relisted. They're sold similar, not relisted, sold similar. And so I did 500 plus listings like that.
Well,
And
you delete the unsold thing.
yeah, I get rid because that way it's not in my way. It's just like a thing to get it out of
Right,
my way, so I don't accidentally double list something. That's the
Yeah.
reason.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was quite the process. But it also the big thing is I feel like it affected my sales. My sales are dead. I had on Saturday I sold one thing for $10, and then 2 days ago I had one sale for like $30. Like that never happens to me. Like I never have just one sale.
Like how many sales do you have going out today? We're recording on Monday.
Yeah, I took
For the list.
13 today, which is terrible for but I did ship on Saturday
Well, that's
because
good.
I
I
only
mean,
had 6 on Saturday. And then I had so yesterday was a good day. Yesterday, but the day before that was terrible. Yeah.
yeah, that makes me nervous now. I don't. When did all that first class shipping go away? What month was that? Because I took down my entire store in June
I
when I
want to say
moved.
middle of the year last year sometime is when they changed that, if not earlier.
So long
I don't
ago, I
know
have no idea
exactly.
anymore.
I don't
So
remember
for
because I
those
took
of you
my.
listening, if you haven't checked your again, I was man, like I had this even when we were doing our inventory, I was like, Sonia, why hasn't this new in the package Polly Pocket sold? Like this stuff usually flies off the shelf. And then a couple days later, after the inventory, when I was selling similar, there it was with first class shipping on it. That's why it can't sell.
So
Like
if you
it's
have first
really
class shipping on it, eBay doesn't let the sale go
no,
through.
they did not. They did not automatically transfer. Like there's no shipping. There's not even like a valid shipping option on there.
I guess I gotta go through mine because I don't remember like.
I think maybe if it was flat rate, it might still sell, but calculated, no. Like there's no because it can't calculate.
Oh, I do flat rate, so I'm good.
So you might be okay. I don't know. I can't verify for sure.
No, you
Maybe
said it was. You said it.
I said it, so yeah, you might be. Maybe I'm gonna throw me. So yeah,
I'm never gonna
now-
remember this. I'm like hopped up on cold medicine.
so yeah, I mean, it can, YouTube, eBay can be a roller coaster. Right now, I'm on a major downward dive on that roller coaster. Like it's going, and like today, I don't have any sales yet. It's pretty rough.
I sold one thing today.
Hey, better than me.
I was gonna ask you guys. I was gonna ship it out. I was feeling down because I was looking. I saw some people live on YouTube earlier. They had like 40 sales going out today, and I only have like 7, 8. I only had 7 or 8 for the weekend, and I was like, man, and that's pretty much what it's been for me.
Huh?
But then I got a sale today, and I wanted to ask you guys, like, what would you sell? I'm gonna show. It's like a little plush. It's a Pokemon plush.
Yeah, that's cool.
Would you? So it's just a plush. Should I put it in a box? I sold it for $59.99. Did you ship it in a box, or would you? Do you ever think about
I
that?
myself, because I have a box that size, I'd put it in. Yeah, I would put it in a box.
If you have a
but
box, I would put it in a box, something for $50. But if
for
that's
that
sold,
dollar amount,
if that's sold for 20
That's what
bucks
I
or
was
whatever, I'm
thinking.
throwing it in a poly bag.
Yeah, that's what I was
I'm
thinking. What's your guys' like limit on it?
I don't know.
You know, on a I don't know. I
I
mean,
I struggle with that too because I sell a
I know
lot
we
of.
always talk about that too, and my different days I have different mindsets, I think.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I
But I
sell a
was
lot of
just
like
like, oh,
DVD,
$60
DVD,
seems like a box.
DVDs. You know, I don't want to just put like a DVD, a $40 DVD, $50 DVD in a
Right.
bubble
I
mailer.
always have a better time. It's like so excited on DVDs because like even if you put a DVD in a box, like it's still gonna. If you're, I mean, you're
Yeah,
shipping it as long as you're shipping it media mail, it's still gonna be like $3.92.
yeah.
You put in a, so I'll always try to put that in something like that in a box because it's gonna still be a pound. If I guess unless you're not shipping it.
Yeah, but I feel like some of those, like I had that return last week. I don't know if we talked about it or not. With the guy said there was a little bit of dirt underneath the seal. It was a sealed DVD, and he said there was like dirt underneath the thing, and he couldn't resell it. I'm assuming he sells on Amazon or whatever.
Right.
But like some of those, I feel like some of them, a lot of them do that. Buy from eBay and sell on Amazon. So if they do get it, they're they're like really picky about the condition of it, a slight rip in the plastic here or there. So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I do send most of my DVDs that
He's
sell.
getting it graded. He could be a collector. He's getting
Yeah.
it
I could be
graded.
getting it. Oh, DVD graded.
What
That's
DVD was it?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, what?
JFK. It was JFK.
JFK. Yeah. How do you know? I must have talked about it. Or did
I don't
send it to-
remember. I was gonna say I don't remember if we talked about it here. I remember talking to you about it.
Yeah, it was
Oh, you do?
JFK.
Oh, all right.
I don't remember if we talked about it on here.
I mean, I always keep extra cardboard around. So, like, what I do is I put it in between cardboard and hit it with some poly wrap, and then it goes in a bubble mailer. That's how I do most of my video games and DVDs. I don't ever box. I've sold. You could probably say thousands of that size between video games and DVDs. I've probably sold over a thousand, and I've never had one with a damage issue.
Yeah.
Never. I've had I've had returns for it didn't work or whatever, even though I tested it, but I've never had a damaged disc show up when I put the case inside two pieces of cardboard and then into a bubble mailer. I've never had one damaged. So you guys are both looking at your phones right now.
I'm trying to see what.
Hey, we're listening on.
It's a professional podcast, guys.
We're supposed to be. We have
yeah.
listeners,
So the listeners, I'm sorry, I dropped.
I'm gonna say this because I just got an alert that we're under winter advisory, and if you don't know me, the one thing you need to know about me is I'm absolutely terrified of snow. I absolutely hate it. I can't stand it. It's scary, and we're under winter advisory tonight. I just got the alert.
Why are you scared of snow? Is it because I'm scared of slipping on ice? I'm scared of driving in it a little bit when my car doesn't want to stop right away. But I'm not really experienced snow.
I've experienced all that stuff. I hate driving on it.
That's surprising because both of these live in an area. Well, Jim, I guess Ohio too, but
yeah,
you came from Colorado, which gets a lot of snow, right? And then Dan, you just get a ton of snow.
Yeah, I have hated it.
I just feel
my
like
entire life.
we get used to it, if you've been driving, all those years.
I don't know. When I first started driving in it, I've asked my mother if something happened to me when I was a kid, and I don't remember. But so I moved back up here. I'm from here. I live in Indiana. If you don't, I'm not saying that you should care or if you want to care, but in case you didn't no, I'm in Indiana and I moved here like in 8th grade, but I'm from here. And then, but I was living down south and I just never liked the snow. Like I just hated it. And when I started driving, I remember like hitting some black ice a few times and I'm like just twirling around. I mean, my car's been stuck in the snow or I'm like trying to push it out and all that kind of stuff happening. Last week we were talking about
there. But I grew up in Arizona. Like I grew up in Northern California and Arizona. No snow at all. Like I only saw snow fall once in my life from when I was born and until my 30s. I had only seen it fall once. I'd been to a couple areas where snow was on the ground, but it wasn't until my 30s that like I was actually in a snowstorm in
Oh, wow.
Denver.
Okay.
So for me, snow's still kind of fun. I know that sounds ridiculous to everybody that else, but like it's still kind of fun because I didn't live with it my whole life. But you know, 11 plus years, how many years do we live in Colorado? I don't even know. 13 years like that or something like that in Colorado. I kind of got used to it, but like dummy me, we went from Arizona to Colorado in October. I took a job on January 1st in Denver working overnights outside.
Oh,
Like I went
Huh.
straight from 120 something degrees in Arizona to freezing overnight in Denver. And let me tell you what, that first winter, like Dan said, multiple times, I'm just laying out on ice because I slipped. And I'm just like, whenever I fall on ice, I just lay there. Like, I'm like, I'll just lay there for a good minute and a half, just like looking at the sky, like watching the snow fall on me or whatever. Like, how did I get here? Yeah. So, but Dan, I got to know, like, there's got to be more to that if you're actually scared of it. Like, if there is like a actual phobia, like an actual fear of snow. Like, you
I
don't
mean, I'm
want
not
to.
scared of actual snow. I just don't like being out in it, out in it. And this, I mean, I'll try to. I'm gonna wrangle us back into talking about some reselling because we're a little bit unmotivated.
Yeah.
Working from home motivates me with the snow. Like if
Oh yeah.
the best part about it, I hate that like my family goes out like when they have to drive around in it. But if it snows and I can just be here and I have stuff to list, I'm 100% good. Like I'm totally fine. I'm totally like at peace. It's so much nicer knowing that I think 2 years. I think this is my third year of doing this full time. The first year I was full time, I remember I stayed home for 10 days straight because I didn't it kept on snowing so much. I just like I left my car got buried. I would just go out there and I would start it up. I would start it up just so I could like just to
Yeah.
make
You
sure
got.
it was running and
Yeah.
keep the
That's like a
battery or
little
whatever.
perk.
And I would clean off my car a little bit and then it's like I would just waited for the snow just to go away and melt and then I finally left. I'd pick up and I do 2-day handling so if the guy the mailman if he mail carrier doesn't come one day they come the next like it's oh god makes
Now
me
I
it
got
puts a smile on my face.
yeah.
because I want to get back to the reseller side of this, and I want to ask you guys both a question. I want to ask the same question to both of you, if you don't mind.
Sure. Hit me.
No, just in general, because we're kind of talking about this. Like we get as resellers, we get in like a what I call like a funk. Like you just kind of get unmotivated, like Dan said. Like you just kind of get in a funk. No weather involved. Like you're just like, oh, like I'm not motivated to do what it takes to be a reseller in general. Like the only thing I want to do is source, and I don't even really. So my question is like, what do you guys do, or what would you advise for people? What would you advise them, or what do you guys do to try to break that slump and get out of that funk? Like, is there anything that you have advice wise, or is there anything that you guys do to try to break out of that? Who wants to go first? Who wants to go first?
I mean, I go first. I mean, I go through that. To be honest with you, it's probably a couple times a year is where I get unmotivated or just don't feel like doing the stuff that I don't like. I enjoy, like everybody, I enjoy sourcing. I enjoy going out there to flea markets, yard sales, whatever it is. I enjoy doing that. So I never come across that aspect of it where I don't feel like sourcing or something like that. My biggest thing is the listing and organization of it. But I'm I wouldn't call myself like a numbers guy, but I do keep an eye on them all the time, and I just see those numbers going down and down, and then that's what motivates me to get things back on track. Is I know where I have to be. I pay the kids tuition with the reselling money that I make,
All
so
right.
I know that I can't let it go. I can't let myself be unmotivated for too long of a time because
Yeah.
their tuition needs to be paid. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that
Like it's almost like
motivates me to watching those numbers and whether it be your numbers on eBay or wherever platform you sell on, or just the bank account numbers showing that, all right.
It's like a sense of urgency, like a little.
Yeah, and that's what keeps me, I think. But I go through it a couple times a year. Like the beginning of the year, like now, this whole week, I feel like I remember last year at this time, I was still pushing to get things listed and keeping those numbers up and everything else like that. And believe it or not, last January was one of my best. I think it was my second best month for the entire year. And this month,
Wow.
and this year, it's probably the worst. But
That's
I didn't list much during that whole year. I had family in from out of town, so I didn't list much last week. And
No, this is good because like Joe's point of view is like someone that he's not a full-time reseller. He uses this for something. He uses the funds to pay for some that's obviously necessity, but he's not using it for like his his daily bills or whatever. So like that's a great point of view from someone that's using these monies to fund something that's very important, that's a necessity. And how you motivate yourself for that is definitely different than what like Dan and I kind of have to experience. I'm curious, like Dan, full-time reseller, right, Dan?
Yeah, I think you can call me a full-time reseller. I just like because this is what I do for my job. I just always I don't know what I'm trying to say. Yes, this is all I do for a living. I don't make any other money. I've made very little on YouTube as compensation. So this is all my money comes from this is from this. And so that keeps me a little bit motivated. I was listening to the Reseller Locker Room last week, and they're kind of talking about a little bit on motivation too. And
Yeah.
um uh they're talking about Archie Biscuit Bud. He was saying that he hates listing, and he wasn't motivated to get listing. And I mentioned that I love listing. Listings is so much fun because it just
Okay.
you get to list the stuff, and then it's for sale. Like I like going to hunt stuff, and kind of finding this stuff is what gets me nervous. Is like finding enough stuff that
Yeah.
I want to sell, like the stuff that I want to sell. I have no
So
idea.
do you ever find yourself in a listing funk though? Do you ever find yourself not wanting to list like as much as you like you said it's one of your favorite parts of it?
Yeah, if just like time wise, I'll run out of time. Like the most I've ever listed in a day is 18, 20 maybe items in a
Right.
day I've listed. And so I'll get burnt out. I try not to burn myself out. I always list on like dollar amount. So I list by dollar amount. And this last year I keep a track of this kind of, I guess this is kind of the same thing too. Because actually we were talking about we wanted to talk about this. If you're new to here, we don't ever really have like a complete topic. And I got asked a question on our through Instagram, which is very nice to say that someone asked us a question, and they're asking us about like motivating, and they were thinking about signing up for some kind of like membership mentorship with somebody. And that got me thinking. It just was like kind of, I don't, I wouldn't ever want to do something like that. Like what was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying. This is the worst now. I can't remember what I'm talking about. My head's like a brain fog right now.
No, you're good. You're good because what I feel like what you're saying is like, and this is so this leads me to another question for Dan, because like I feel like you don't hit that reseller slump as much, but maybe
I'm sorry.
Maybe for you, and maybe after you go in a little bit more into it, maybe for you, the slump is other things in your life that because you're like the time, like you said, time is a thing that's hard for you. That's the only time you really run into problems and like a slump on reselling is when you run out of time because of all the other things you got going on in your life. Does reselling ever affect those things? Like maybe put one of those things in a slump?
Oh, yeah. So I'm always chasing. To get stuff done. So I'll just tell you today. Today I got up and yesterday I take pictures because on Sundays I kind of take the day off on Sunday, as far as I hang out with Dodger, my dog, and I take him for a few walks. We watch football, and I list, and whatever I have listed, I take pictures on Saturday enough to get me through Saturday and Sunday listings. And so yesterday I had about 15 items I wanted to list, and I've been trying to this year. My goal is to I want to list more, because the more in my head, the more I'm listing, the more I'm selling. If I'm hopefully I'm buying the right items and I'm listing the right items, and those will sell. And I'm going to list more, and I list by dollar amount. And my sales were about the same last year as they were the year before. And last year I had the same goal. I wanted to sell more because like I don't make like a ton of money. Like I mean, I don't know if it's obvious, but I only have to take care of myself, so my bills aren't that bad. And when I got into reselling, it was to get out of debt, and so I got out of debt. And then when I lost my job, I like was not doing enough like at reselling work. Do you mean reselling work? Good enough. Like, oh, my brain's such a fog today. I couldn't keep. I like was more worried about making sure I put videos out for YouTube and
Right.
stuff. And then slowly I saw, like Joe was saying about the bank account. My bank account was slowly deteriorating because before that I worked a job, and so whatever little bit I sold was just in my eBay money. It was just there. Like, and then I had like a death pile of stuff that was stuff I shouldn't have bought, but like it was just I always had money coming in, and I would whatever little bit I would sell would be okay. And then when I switched to full time, it's just like you start when you have to like pay yourself to pay your
Yeah.
bills. You start I absolutely hate when I see that. I hate when I have to take money out, and I'll be like, oh, if I just had a job, if I just went to a job, I'd be so much, I think I'd be happier because my money could just stay there, my reselling, and then it would just grow. It would just keep growing. But every month, like my bills, I have to pull my bills out and pay my bills. So then it's just like, oh, and then I have to try to build it back up. And it takes what I'm like basically making what I'm set, like, it's like basically I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and
Right. That's
it's
rough.
like tough. It's
Reselling
tough.
that, doing that as a reseller is rough.
It can be tough, yeah. And
Yeah. I mean, I'm like you said, I'm part time, and I give you guys that are full time out there tons of credit. I don't think I could ever do this on a full time scale or level to
Right.
support, my family. Like I said,
I
I
I
have three
couldn't support a
kids.
family. I
You
could
know,
support myself, but there's if I had a family to take care of, I would never be able. I could
well,
never do this.
right, and but I also think it's like I think there's different types of people out there. Like, I'm not saying that I need a boss. You know what I mean? Like, but I think the motivation of me doing this full time at a full time level, because I see what you guys do. I don't know if I would ever be a good full time reseller.
Yep.
Like, I think this would have to be a part time gig for me
Forever.
forever, whatever I end up doing. Even after I retired from my full time job or something like that. I think this would always be a part time thing to me. You know what I mean?
I don't want to go back working with that. Motivates me too. I would never.
Right.
I don't want to go back to
Yeah.
working with someone.
That's so I was gonna say that's my number one motivation is to think about some of the jobs I've done in the past. And honestly, if I
And I didn't
just
hate my boss either. I don't hate my boss. I didn't hate working for someone. I really enjoyed working at the casino. Like, sorry, I don't mean
right.
to cut you off, but
No, you're good.
it's just like I just did. It's just something I don't want to do. Like, it's so nice if I mean, to be fair, if I don't feel like working today, I just don't want to work. But like, I know future me is gonna be like, what the heck, man? You didn't make any money, and that's
Right.
scary. So that keeps me kind of
Right.
wanting to go.
That's what I think is my biggest thing is the scary part of it of if some like Jimmy's going through it now, like he's having a bad week or whatever, like beginning of the year.
See, that's
Like,
tough for him because like he's taking care of his family.
yeah, like there's
Now,
that
like that
part.
takes the life. That takes that's. I don't know if I could have. I bet, like, not begged, but in my head, I don't. I mean, I'm sure no one. I don't know if I was before I left work. We left for 2 weeks for the COVID outbreak, and then we came. We were supposed to come back.
Yeah.
And before that, I walked around. I mean, so that's March of 2020, and I started reselling in like June, July of 2019, and instantly loved it. And would like, I'm just a homebody. I love being at home, and then I see these guys on YouTube and stuff. They're just they're working from home. They're finding stuff. It's so much fun to find stuff and sell it. And I found this for $1. I sold it for 20. Like, even finding it for $1, selling it at 20 seems stupid, but that's just
Right.
amazing to me. And I'm like, man, I want to do that. I don't want to go work. Like, I did not hate working at the casino. It wasn't what I wanted to be. So then I would be there. I would just be like, I like my job too, but it would just be like, ugh, I don't want to do this today. I don't feel like doing this. I just want to just relax. I don't want to have to deal with some guy that's had served too much. I don't want to deal with
Right.
someone complaining about their hands they're not getting. It's just
Yeah.
but it was just like enough of it. And I was just like beg. I'm like, oh man, I just don't want to be here. And I walked around for probably a good month or so with my like I'm gonna quit letter in my pocket. And I was just I just ready to give it to my boss. Like I was
Yeah.
just for months. And I don't know if I just never had I was so scared to do it. And I was so
Right.
scared. And I don't if I had to
Right.
take care of a family, I don't think I could. I don't think I would. I mean, I couldn't do it. I don't think
No,
I
I
can
think
do it.
no, I think if I had that pressure of like you gotta you gotta make money to pay your bills or where it gets down to, I would figure some way out to do it. I mean, I like to think that about myself, that I wouldn't let it get to that point of being
Right.
real bad or whatever. But
I mean, that's my ultimate motivation. That's what I'm dealing with. Like I'm like, Dan, like I check my bank account daily, and I'm always watching my number. And when it keeps me motivated to make sure, I'm not gonna lie. When I first went full, I did this part time for half a year. I built up some nice capital. Like because I wanted to go full time. That's what I wanted to
I
do.
think
Like I was like,
everyone wants to go. I mean,
I'm
if
like,
you want to go
and
full time, like they always just want to do it, right? Right? It's so
yeah,
it's
I was like, I
amazing.
love this. I love everything about it. I want to do it. And so when I was part time, I was fortunate. If I was working, my wife was working. Every single dime I made for half a year, I just saved, like so I could go full time.
Nah,
It was like my go full time. So I built up some decent capital, and I've been very fortunate. Like I went into it with that capital, and then I've just from that point on just built that capital more and more. Like I never dipped down. It's just been building and building. So I am in that position where that's helped me a lot, and that's like that. But that's also a motivation. Like being able to build a capital is a reason for me to
so
keep going. Like I want to continue to see that the business to grow and grow and grow. I don't. That's a motivation for me for sure.
you got into it and were pretty successful right off the bat.
Yeah, yeah,
Like right
yeah.
off the bat. Like I don't, Joe.
Well,
Were
I mean,
right when you got in, were you successful? Like right, I was not.
no,
Like I was
yes,
an
because
absolute dumpster
but
fire.
I had like a leg up, if you will, like because I did it for so I was in. I got hurt as a mechanic, and I had to quit, like retire as a mechanic, and I took a job in customer service, and I did and I hated it. I had to answer the phone, and my job was to help mechanical stuff on the phone, and I hated it because people are always mad when their equipment's not working. But so I had left my job that I was a mechanic. They didn't have a spot for me, so I took another job answering phones, helping people fix their lawnmowers and their log splitters and their farm equipment. And I would answer phones and answer mechanical questions. Well, that company sold real quick. That company sold that stuff online too, on eBay, and just so happens that their e-commerce guy who had all his degrees walked out on them, and I was ready to quit. My boss knew I was ready to quit. He's like, "You want to try to take the eBay instead? Like instead of answering the phones, take our guy just walked out. Take over the eBay and
Mm.
the Amazon." So I went in there not knowing anything about it. Like I literally I called myself, I was like the e-commerce fat fingered mechanic that had no idea about internet, eBay, and Amazon. But I did it for a year for that company. And I sold over like 1.3 million in sales in that first year. Like I blew out what the other guy was doing. And I learned it all while I was working. Like I was
right.
handling their eBay store. I was handling the logistics, the shipping. I had guys under me that did the shipping, but I handled all the eBay, the actual site. I did everything. So when I went full time, I knew eBay really well. Like I knew the ins and outs, and so like I didn't go in there like without any experience. Like I knew exactly what I was doing when I started my own store. So that helped me succeed right off the bat. And I had my old mechanic tools that I was able to sell. That gave
Oh,
me a
so you
nice
started with
little.
that. I was gonna say, what did you start selling? Right.
Yeah, I mean, you better believe I started selling everything that said. I kept I kept like all the Craftsman, and I sold all the Snap-on, and I made a bunch of money on those tools, and that gave me a nice head start to go start sourcing. Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I didn't know anything when I first started on eBay of selling stuff. I had an account for a long time, but I would buy on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you look up my account, I forget what it says that I've been a member since or whatever. But mostly all of that was from buying. But when I first started, I mean, I made all the mistakes that you still see people,
Oh, yeah.
you know, doing now. Like I would sell something. I started off selling stuff kind of like around the house, things that I had, things that I didn't wear anymore. You know, different kinds of jerseys and stuff things like that. But I was still going to the post office to buy my shipping. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know any of that. When I first started. So I wouldn't say that I was, and I made mistakes that way also, selling something for, $20 and then, going to the post office to buy the package,
Right. Yeah.
the
Oh,
postage,
man.
which was way
I,
more than, you know, I didn't make any money for,
yeah.
a good period of time on there.
Yeah.
I wish I tracked my numbers better when I first started like that, but I never looked at it as being anything like a business end of it
The only
until
thing I did smart wise is I always kept it separate because
Yeah.
I've always done some kind of reselling just by like of selling my own stuff. Like I originally started selling my DVD collection, so and the money came through PayPal, but my PayPal just left it was all there. And then
I
when I
thought
got
for
back,
sure you were gonna say you rented out clothes, but okay.
no. I did that, and then when I did I got into I collected sports cards and I started messing with sports cards. So I would buy sports
Yeah.
cards, buy into breaks, which I didn't make any money, but I would like recoup money from getting something and selling it, and that's how
Yeah.
I learned to ship. That's how you learn how to ship through on here before. I mean, on the internet. Like before that, I would go to the post office as well,
yeah.
and I don't remember where. Man, you guys have to cut all this part out. I don't remember what I was talking about. I have like such a my head is just pounding. It's like it's such a brain fog. I don't remember. I have no idea what I was talking about.
I
No,
don't no. Go ahead,
no,
Joe.
I think like you were basically with starting out in some of the mistakes,
Oh
and
yeah,
you were doing
this
some
is
sort
not
of
an act. Oh my god, I can't
some
You all
sort
remember.
of
right?
reselling
No,
throughout
I
the
just don't feel well today.
you
I'm
know
sorry. I
No, I
just
get
don't
it.
like. I keep forgetting where I'm. Like I just have like a head. Like my head's just pounding. So I keep forgetting
Uh,
what we're talking about.
see. Well, also like when I first
sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing
It's
with
so
you.
embarrassing.
with
We can cut
reselling
all this out, right? I'm
with
sorry.
some
If you want me to, you let me know.
We finally have like a good reselling topic that we buried 20 minutes into us talking about nonsense of me and I keep forgetting what I'm talking about mid talking about something. Oh my god, I'm sorry, Joe.
but you'll figure it out then.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys.
Your
I'm
head
having,
will get clear. So,
the
but
good
no,
thing for you, everybody loves
I
it.
made those same mistakes also. You know what I mean? Those shipping
Oh,
mistakes and things like that. And also like when I first started out reselling, it wasn't on eBay. I I basically
I
was one
can't
of those
understand.
sneaker kids that camped outside of
Yeah.
the sneaker store and got
Yeah.
the latest Jordans that went. And then I took them to a consignment shop that was it was a small people know like the Flight Club. It's like up in New York or whatever. It's a big sneaker store or whatever. But it was similar to that, but on a very small scale here in the city, where I would literally just walk in with a shoebox from the shoes that were
Mhm.
just released from that Saturday and ask the guy to sell them. He would
Yeah.
keep 20% and then give me the rest, and that's what and it was always money in my pocket. I mean, I was young. It was before kids. It was stuff like that. And that was always money, and I did it every weekend. The
Yeah.
latest Jordan that came out, and then you made friends, that would
So you did kind of you were making money then.
yeah, I would just but it was never something that I mean, they would sell usually they would sell within, if they were a decent pair of Jordans or whatever, they would sell within the next week or two or whatever. I'd go down and pick my money up from the guy and then just use that money for the weekend to go buy more sneakers
But
that were coming out.
I
So
learned on driving around to like Ross and
Yep.
Walmart, trying to do retail arbitrage, and
I tried. I
absolutely
was never successful with it.
no.
Never.
Yeah, right. But I was like watching it. I would watch it on YouTube, and like, oh yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So I would spend so much money wasting
Yeah.
and time wasting to buy stuff that was never set, like it never sold. And if when it did sell, I was breaking even, and I would waste so much time, and I never was prepared with anything. And I mean, it's a disaster. Like I think you just have to kind of
Well, that makes me think of like, because you mentioned paying for you mentioned like paying for like a class or another YouTuber's.
yeah,
How
like
did
a
you
core
word
like
that?
like a
course,
like,
yeah,
like a course or a mentorship or something like
yeah.
that. And
And
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I so I wanted to say, like, if you really think it's going to help you, but like Dan said, like he's done a lot of the research on the free stuff out there, and it didn't like a lot of the stuff that he tried, like the shoes and the retailer, like it didn't help him. Like he didn't succeed there. And like I myself would never pay for a course. I have enough motivation of my, like, but if paying your bills and building up money for tuition or whatever, if that's not a motivation that you have, and you're just looking for like a motivation, like because you're not, like, whatever reason you're doing this, if it's not one of those and you're just not feeling motivated, and I wouldn't understand if you're just doing this like as a hobby or whatnot. Like, I don't know how to help you get motivated, except for being like, you have to be honest with yourself. Like, the number one thing I've always found out since I've started is being honest. Like, why are you doing this? Or do you really enjoy? Because I feel like there's like no middle. Like, you either like reselling or you don't. Like, I've always noticed that, like, there's people that you talk to them about this and they're like, yeah, that sounds awful and boring and I would never do that. And then there's people that you talk to about this and like, man, that sounds awesome, I want to try that. So you were one of those people. That's why you're here now. You were one of those people that sounds awesome, I want to try that. So now you just got to be honest with yourself. Why aren't you motivated? Like, what is bringing you down? Like, you have to be honest, like, with yourself. Like, is it just that you don't want to do this anymore? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be honest with
I
when you're talking to yourself.
I get down on myself like just by if you go on Instagram, or that's why sometimes
Yeah,
I just like being on the internet is like the worst, because you
right.
go see on there and I'm like, oh my god, like I just told you, I was watching, this guy has 40 sales, I have 7. I'm like, what the heck am I doing wrong? But
Right.
then you have to like, oh, what did they do? Like, how much are they? And then I feel like I feel like I work like I don't want to do this. Someone's. I don't want to do this. So I'm working every day of my life, all day, every day
Right.
either. So I want it. It's supposed to be some kind of like, kind of lifestyle. Like, I don't know if I've heard
Yeah,
that
but
before, where it's like a lifestyle.
the same breath, part of being honest with yourself is like, you have to have, to be a reseller and support yourself. You have to have that work ethic that Joe said he's not sure if he would be able to do that self-motivated work ethic. Like, that's the first thing I found out. Like, thank God I was a mechanic, and thank God that I had to stay busy all day to, I've said this, like, to keep up with the young, in shape mechanics. I had to, as an overweight mechanic, I had to stay busy all day to keep up with them. And so, like, I had that coming into this, that work ethic of, I just stay busy. Like, I'm not a fast listener, I'm not a fast picture taker, but I stay busy. Like, I just
You
stay
have a
consistent.
process. You have a process. You have a
Yeah,
process.
and a process, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I
that
don't race.
I think that's what I fail at the most is my process and my organization and my. I mean, they suck. You know what I mean? I'm the
Right.
biggest critic of myself. I'm hard on myself a lot of the time, but I know that it's me that is the reason why sales are
Yeah.
down. I never look on the outside to blame anybody else or anything else. I know that for me to be better at this, I have to. It's me that is the problem. You know what I mean? Whether it's
Mhm.
me picking up the wrong items, I've done that. I mean, I have boxes full of my garage of just bad buys throughout the years of trying to do this. You know
So
what I
the
mean?
uh,
Of just just not understanding sell through rate and not understanding paying too. I mean, it comes down to sometimes paying too much for things, or you know
Yeah.
getting
Making
too
mistakes. Yeah.
yeah, making mistakes, getting too excited of seeing. I mean, buying something, oh, this is great or whatever, and I get it home and it's missing pieces or there's stains on it, or you know,
so
like
what
a
do you do
pair of
with it? You just throw it away?
depends. I mean, there are some
You
things that you can,
part
there
out?
are things that I parted out, what I mean, just to try to get some sort of money back to it. But I
Yeah.
also feel like listing really low dollar items, also, we can get into that also, is listing low dollar items are your biggest headaches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You list something that's 5, 6, $7. They're the just my experience
I
is
have noticed that when I first started, I used to list a lot because I mean, it's the stuff I pick up too. Because I used to part out board game pieces and do that kind of stuff. But I felt like I was always listing everything was 11.99, 12.99, 13.99, and as I've grown. I guess, I mean, whatever. My store has grown.
Yeah,
I picked better. Not amazing. I'm not. This is not me bragging about picking red better, because I
You
still this
leveled up.
weekend I listed some stuff that was low dollar stuff too. That it was just stuff I ended up getting. I found it at the bins, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
I'll
well,
just
part of the
that's
bins game though. It's part of the
that
bins
part of the
game.
right. Like
Yep.
I found
Yeah.
I found this is so stupid. I'll
Hey,
show
I
you
just sold
guys.
some I found at the bins for $13. I'm happy as can be. A little Funko
Well, this
Pop.
is way worse than that. But I found like a Lululemon
Oh,
bag. It's like a
that's
reusable
awesome.
bag, and I was like, oh, I've seen, like I bet you someone would want a reusable bag of that. And I thought about, like, maybe I should make like keep it and make a lot, and then maybe like just a lot of reusable bags and sell those in a lot. But I'm like,
How
where am
much
I
do you
going to
want for
store?
that bag? I know some of that will want that
I have
bag.
it listed for like $5, I think, plus shipping.
Take it down. I'm gonna buy it from you. What is it on your eBay store?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go there and buy it after.
So it's just like, it's like one of those things. It's just like, I probably would be smarter if I just found bags and then sell them really usable, but
Yeah.
I can only find the one, and it doesn't weigh anything. So I only spent $21 at the bins the other day, and that was one of the pieces I sell for $5. Like that stuff is like, it's probably stupid, but everything I listed was like that before. It used to be the point where I would sell something and then it would be like no money. And I'm like, that doesn't help me at all today, because I sold that for $4 and I'm going to have to pay fees and time and everything. I'm not making any money. And I wanted to motivating me. The motivation I wanted back then was, I wanted to have, when I get a sale, I wanted to be excited about the sale. And now, like, this,
Yeah.
again, not a brag, but when I'm listing stuff, everything's like
Of course.
$25 to $30 is like like the spot. Like I list almost everything is around that spot. Like even like $20. It's like 20 to $30. And every time I get a sale, like that's a dent at my bills today. And then like that helps me. And I don't know. I don't really.
Like, I felt
remember.
like
Oh, sorry.
also like with cheaper dollar items that, with me being part time, it wasn't. I was spending more time messing with items that weren't worth it. Where if I just got rid of them, or me getting rid of them, sometimes it's just me putting them in a box and putting them out at a yard sale that we're going to do.
Yeah.
Twice a year or whatever. Like that was me, and it felt good to get rid of that. You know what I mean? Like I would look at it for a couple months. I would look at it for a couple weeks and just sit there. I'm like, why am I holding on to something that I'm going to sell for $8? The person that buys it's probably going to be a headache. You know what I mean? Like I feel like
that's so good, though. Like,
and then just, even though it was money, but I don't think you can look at it as, I paid $4 for that. Why am I going to throw $4 in the trash? You know what I mean? Or get rid of that $4. Sometimes that $4 that I got rid of was the best $4 that I could have spent, because it was a weight lifted off of me. I didn't have to look at it anymore. I didn't have to worry about listing it. I didn't have to worry about cleaning it, spending more time with it, but that just works in, my model of selling. I'll get $2 for it at a flea, or at the yard sale that we're going to do in spring.
$2 yard sales.
It just get rid of
or
that
a $2 whatnot show.
Yeah, the $2 whatnot. I'll just say that I'm gonna kind of like, because I want to give the best advice I know how to give, and I sometimes Dan will tell you, and Joe will tell you, like, I'm annoying as heck, but I'm gonna try to give the best advice that.
Why'd
Jimmy
you say it like that?
Because you guys know I'm annoying, and like I'm like this jerk half the things I say. So this is probably gonna sound like a jerk when I say this. No, I'm joking. I'm just joking, Dan. Like, I don't. Sometimes my jokes don't land. All right. No, but look, I'm trying to give the best advice I can
in front
give.
of a mirror.
Yeah, I need a mirror right now. Actually, I'll just look at the camera. I said that, being honest with yourself, and so you got to look around yourself and what's keeping you from motivated. Like, I like to have a clean area, so look around. Are you sitting in a death pile mess, an office mess? I know from experience, if you work in a clean area, it helps with motivation. I feel like, so get up and clean, organize, clean, get your desk cleared off, get your death pile organized, get your inventory organized, work on things like that to help you motivate. Another thing I recommend doing that I do to this day is I wake up and now this might not for Dan, because Dan likes to list, which I wake up and the first thing I do is list. I list first thing because, and I've always said this, and it feels this way to me every time. I list first thing in the morning, and even if the rest of the day I'm unmotivated and I'm in a funk and I don't do anything else for the rest of the day, at least I got that, and I feel like I accomplished at least something because I listed first thing in the morning. So I recommend listing first thing in the morning to help that motivation. Like it feels like you got something, at least you got something done. And then especially if one of those items sells during the day, it really feels good.
Can we go back a few, I don't know, a few episodes ago? You had mentioned that you were listing more. You're listing like 15 items, or are you still doing
Yeah,
that?
I am not.
Oh,
We
you're
had
not.
some things that changed around here that I haven't talked a lot about. So we haven't been able to do that, Sonia and I, because it was a team effort. Sonia and I, Sonia with her being sick, and then some of the things that she's got going on right now,
Mm,
we haven't been able to keep that up. So right now I'm trying to do like 7 or 8 a day.
mm.
And I've already listed 5 today. Before we got on here, I listed 5. Again, I'll list more later as long as my motivation isn't down, like I talked about. But I get that first 5 done right out, and it took me like 25 minutes. I listed 5 items and I'm done. And that could, on a bad day, that could be my day. Like that could be all I have to do. Like I could just take the day off because I'm not motivated, but I still got listings done. Like that still helps everything. It helps sales. It helps
That
everything.
the one thing that helped me a lot is when I sat down and finally, you kind of like know, I know like how much my bills are, and then I
Yep.
know I kind of, and then I switched to like the dollar amount I talk.
Yeah,
When I
that's
sat
a good
down
one.
and
A lot of
I
people do
used to
that.
list like $100 a day, and it was like ridiculous because like I don't have that much in bills, and
Right.
eventually, like, but if you want your store to grow, like, you have to do more than that. So then I
Yeah.
bumped it up to like 150, and then when I started feeling like that bank account was like, I need to do more, like I pushed to go to like, I would like to do like $300 a day, and it just doesn't work for me because that's a different story. But I started writing it all down, like
Oh, like
you
a
always
little
hear
journal?
people on like the
Like,
momentum board. I have I'm looking down. I have a dry erase boards that I found at the bins that I used to do that, but that didn't work for me either. So I keep notes in the notes of my
your phone.
phone, in my phone, and I write down every day like how many listings I did for how much money, and I add it all up for the week, and at the end of the week I want this. Like I try to look, if instead of like doing $300 a day or something, if I don't hit that, I never hit that, but if I'm always around 200 to 250, but I get to the end of the week and I would like to be close to $2,000 as I can. So I started like thinking about like for the week instead of just today. So if I fail today, I don't like, it used to ruin my rest of my week. I'm like, oh, I didn't
Yeah.
list anything yesterday. Like I don't have to list today. But if and then I don't remember what I did. So I wrote it down. And that was the thing I learned when I used to work. Because I've worked before, working as a dealer, like you don't have any I would show up to work and have an empty tote box, and my motivation was is I need to fill this up with tokes today so I can cash out at the end of the day. When I was before that, I was working I was working at Blockbuster Video, and I worked by myself the entire day. And like I would just I had learned before that when I used to work with people before I was the manager. That's not a brag either, okay, but it's pretty cool to be like a video store
Dan
manager.
just flexing all
My
episodes.
Well, when I was learning how to do that job, my boss used to make me write down everything I did for the day. Like, so I would like make sure she would like want to make sure like
Yeah, the
I was doing stuff like it. A
accountability.
lot of
That's
times
how
people always like they don't think you do anything. So if you write it all down, so if you start writing down like your how many listings you did,
so
you
good.
start seeing it. You start seeing that
Mhm.
you've been doing that, and that helps you. And then when stuff starts selling, you get kind of excited about that. And as far as like it paying for like a mentorship or something. When I first got into this, I had no idea what I was buying because I'm buying stuff that was selling for $5, $6, $7, $8. I was listing to list like thinking in my head, because you're most people, if you're when you first get into this, you just think of when you meet someone that started reselling, how many items you have listed in your store. Like
Yeah.
whenever time you meet anyone, that's the first thing they'd ask you on a live is like, how many items are in your store? And if you don't say 15,000, you are never going to be a full-time reseller. I mean, I have 1,200 in my store. Again, it's not a brag, but like I didn't think it took
Dang,
me
Dan.
forever. It took me forever to get to like last year. I think last year I started at $800 or $900 listings, and for the entire year I grew at 300 listings. In my head, I think that at least the way that I'm doing this, it's like a complete grind. Like which is probably it might not be the world's greatest idea to do it either. So I'm definitely not going to put up some class on it. But I just watch YouTube, and there's been enough people that put out the free information, and you just take this is what I've done in being a manager and doing management things. You just take tidbits of stuff that you like that people do, and you put it into your business or whatever you're doing.
Dan,
You don't
just
want to
came up
copy
with
it.
a great idea.
Huh.
We don't need an account. I'm going to interrupt you because I want like your idea is an honesty board, not an accountability board.
Ooh, honesty board. It's telling.
The honesty board, like being on, like what I talk about, being honest. Write down just real quick because, like you said, not just reseller related. Write down what you did today. Like every day, write down
like a
everything
journal.
you did, and then look back, and you can be honest. Like this is what because in reselling, and I just in reselling, there are days that will go by quickly. You felt like you did nothing, because this can also motivate you when you go back to your honesty board and say, okay, well, I packed my ship, I shipped my items, I went to the post office, I came home, I listened, I recorded a podcast. That's a full day already, and it's not even halfway through the day. So like,
but it doesn't really. A lot of that
man,
stuff doesn't make you any money. So then you just like you feel like you don't ever do anything. You sit here
but
and you clean stuff forever.
Mentally, maybe just the motivation of, hey, I didn't slack off all day. I actually got some stuff done, and I did some things I enjoy, and I got some work done. But you're at least you can look at you and be honest with yourself about what you did. Now, if you have the first 5 hours is watch YouTube, well, then maybe you need to address that, right? So, anyways, you just made me think.
That's one reason I stopped. When that was why I really wanted to start doing a podcast before, is that I used to sit around and watch lives all day, and then I would be worried to watch the chat to make sure if I said hi, if someone said hi back to me, that they like I don't want them to think I was ignoring them. But and then if you don't say anything, they think that you don't watch them and that they hate you because you're not watching them. And it just got to be. I'm like, but
go Philly Picker all day, and he's not putting out any videos anymore, and he never comments back to me. So yeah.
But so I only watch. I mean, okay, so I'll watch YouTube in the morning, and then like reselling YouTube when I get up.
Yeah.
Depending on the day. Like there's some days I have some shows I'll watch, but I'll try. I'll watch some videos on those days, and then when I start working, I'm listening to podcasts and stuff like that, and I do that, and then I might someday. It depends on. I get in these moods where I watch people. Like I have to. I like obsess with watch. I start watching them like constantly, like a psychopath, like just like psycho.
When you
like,
said I get in the mood and I just start watching, just
yeah. I mean on YouTube, not like out in public. I don't just like creep up and watch people like a psycho. It's a little, but I just have moods where I start watching. Like I watched like I don't know. Last week I was obsessed with watching body cam footage of people like, and I did that a few months ago. And I did that for a week or two, and then I forgot all about it. And then I'm trying to think what I'm watching right now. All right, this week I've been watching this nonstop stuff about sports betting because I enjoy sports betting. But I'll have YouTube on all the time. But like for as far as like reselling stuff, I'll watch a few people in the morning, and then I'll watch some stuff later in the day sometimes. But there's times where I'm obsessed with watching. So there's a few channels I have to watch all the time. So if I don't get to them, I'll watch them when they come out. So I try to keep up. And then some people I watch them. I have to watch them in like a clump. I'll watch them all. Like I'll catch up 6-7 episodes behind. Anyway, I have no idea what I was talking about there either.
No, but I think also like you said earlier, Dan, with setting your goals, because I fell into this. I felt it was like a trap. Like I would almost set unrealistic goals for myself daily. You know what I mean? And it started off with, watching different people on YouTube saying that they list this X amount of listings, and some people were talking about dollars amount or whatever, and I would set like almost like, because there are days that, and I had to come to this realization that I just don't have the time to list any listings that
Yeah.
day. I try to take some pictures and stuff like that, but there are going to be days that, so I set like a longer goal, because I was like, Dan, if I didn't list 15 items today or whatever, it would almost ruin my day. It
Yeah.
would it would
Oh, for sure.
I would be like,
I
pissed
always
off
get
about it.
depressed, and then you don't sell anything. I'll get so depressed.
And then sometimes it would follow to the next day, because I didn't sell nothing that day. I'd be blaming myself because I didn't list those things. If I listed, 10 more extra items, and there, it would get, it was progressively worse as it would go on. So I kind of tried to set like longer term goals for myself, and it's just numbers wise. You know what I mean? It's not number of listings, it's dollar amount of listings. I try to list the X amount of dollars, and it changes. It fluctuates for me, just with some of the inventory that I find, how many days I go out sourcing and things like that. So I think if you are going to set daily goals or whatever, make them achievable. You know what I mean? Because if you go 3 or 4 days of not achieving that set goal,
That's
Yeah.
depressing.
it could be bad for you. You know what I mean? Depending on how bad you are, how tough you are on yourself or whatever like that. But I was always tough on myself, where it's like, man, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. Instead of looking at the stuff that I did accomplish and sold, and like Jimmy said, you spend a couple hours organizing or reorganize or cleaning up your work area. That is a big, because if I come down here and I have a messy desk in front of me, there's sometimes I don't even want to look at it, and it will distract me from doing what I came down here to do. You know what I mean? But reaching or setting goals that are achievable, and I try to list every day. I don't list every day. There are some days that I go, I try not to go more than 3 days of not listing something, but on that fourth day, I try to make like a good solid 2 hours of me sitting down and just listing. Turn off everything. Try not to be on my phone. Try not to, I'll put something on in the background to listen to, whether it's YouTube or a podcast or even
Podcast.
Sometimes, or just sometimes music or
Do
something
you
like
listen
that.
on the YouTube channel, or do you listen to it on wherever you have your favorite podcast?
Usually, if I'm down
audio?
here in the basement, I'll just put it on YouTube.
Do you
Pretty
ever
sure
leave
he's not subscribed. Just like most everybody that listens, he's
You ever
not
leave an
subscribed.
Apple review for us at all? Ever?
No, no, I don't even know if I have an Apple.
Can you see those reviews, Dan?
I think so. I don't even honestly know.
Do you even have a review yet?
I don't know. Honestly,
Sorry,
I didn't check. I didn't check this.
Yeah, well, check that while
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
But I think that's just a part of helping somebody out that's not motivated. And the other thing is you said watching the free YouTube and getting your stuff from there. I haven't found. I feel like I haven't done it too much, but I feel like I could. Like, if you reach out to anybody on YouTube that is putting out videos or whatever, and you need that motivation, like I have some good friends that I met on YouTube. You know what I mean? So if you ever do need motivation from somebody, I'm sure if you just reach out to somebody that you watch, or you connected some way to, like they would be willing to help you, help in any way that they could. I know I can call Jimmy or Dan or some of the other guys that I talk to on YouTube, and be like, yo,
put me on vanishing mode.
I know. I don't even know how I got you on vanishing mode, but
I've been trying to call you for days, and you just I think you blocked me, to be honest.
No, Joe, to say on what Joe's saying, like, here's some more advice. Like, if you're, I know not everybody's able to, but that money that you would spend on a course, for me, I'll take that money and put it towards going to like some kind of reseller meetup before I'll do it. Because I'll tell you one thing, every time I go to any kind of reseller meetup, I walk away from that more motivated than I ever am. I think Joe can, I've been motivated, but like after the rally, I came back here and I was more motivated than I've ever been. And every time I go to some kind of meetup, I walk away more motivated than I've ever been. Now, it's not a permanent motivation, but man, you come back ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, it gives you like a jump start, and and I agree with you. with that. I haven't been to too many of them. Like I said, I went to the Reseller rally in Cincinnati
Right.
the 2 times that they had it. And I met awesome people there. I met great people there that we had great conversations with, and I still talk to this day that I know that I can reach out to and be
With
like,
two
listen, man,
ratings.
I,
Sorry.
I'm not feeling it, you know what I mean, or whatever. And they'll be like, try this or do this, or this is what I do. You get a
True.
lot of,
What is it?
Another good one. Another one that I've been to the Boss Reseller Remix for all you West Coasters that are in Vegas. That's in Vegas. That's in October. So it's man, that one was a good one too. Like I came away from the Boss Reseller Remix ready to rob lists, and it also helped me with my social media. Like I was super motivated to put out videos and content too. So
So, I mean,
that's
there's tons of things out there that you might not think they're.
I've canceled on meetups twice, at least twice.
Dan, you need to. I'm telling you. I feel like most people that go to them feel that way afterwards too. Like they're super motivated afterwards to get to some of their goals and to get out of their funks. Yeah. It sucks being in a funk though. This as a reseller, we all go through it. Like I know for a fact I go through it.
Yeah.
So, but I would guess that's a better way to spend that money if you're able to go to a meetup.
Right. If you're able
I feel like you get way more bang for your buck to do something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I've done like I'm a Patreon of the Trash Cash podcast.
Yeah.
And that's like $5 a month. And I do it because I enjoy their podcast. You're in the Discord on that. I don't know how to do Discord. So
I'm
I don't really,
it. I don't know.
But as far as I don't think I could do, I don't know. I know when I first started, I will say when I first started, I just didn't know I didn't know where to start. Like I didn't know how to do anything. So I thought like, oh, maybe I could do like a course or something. And I know I was interested in, I know Rally Roots used to do, I don't know if they still do them. They do like a mentorship, and I was excited. Was like, oh, I'm going to do that if they sign up. And then I never did. I don't know if I tried and didn't get in or whatever it was, or they didn't have them at the time, or they just talked about it. And, I just never did. And by the time, like, I'd rather try spending my money on, if it's a few $100s or whatever, I would use that money to spend on inventory or, like you said,
I've never thought about using like a course for motivation. I feel like course to learn. I didn't need it. Maybe that's something that somebody needs, but a course for motivation, I don't feel like that's the right way to go, in my opinion.
No, I think there's enough YouTube videos out there. Like I said, the majority of in the videos that I still enjoy watching to this day, we talked a little bit beforehand, Jim, is like I enjoy and I love watching what sold videos. They're not very popular. They're not very popular to they're not. I think there's not much. If you're watching a what sold video, you're most likely a reseller. I would say. You're not getting, I think, a normal public to come in and watch what something sells for. But like I think watching those what sold videos, there's a lot of videos out there that also shows you the different setups that some people have, whether it be the way they ship something, the way they set up something, the way they have their inventory, the way that they have, and I think that also helps with.
I always liked watching. I always liked that stuff.
Yeah, I say be careful, but just be careful too. Like this time of year, right off the holiday season, what are resellers dealing with? They, a lot of them made some good money, but a lot of them are dealing with more difficult than usual customers. They're dealing with some returns. Like this time, right now, after the holidays is when that stuff starts. Like I had throughout, I shipped a lot of stuff through the October, November, December. But I probably had 7 returns. So I dealt with a lot of returns recently. I've dealt with some difficult customers whether it's shipping. So we've all kind of been dealing with that stuff as resellers and content creators. And right now there's a lot. Right now it feels like there's like this influx of negativity in the YouTube community, and that can bring your motivation and bring it down. Like that can bring you down into the dumps. And while that content, is there a place for it? Yes. I feel like there's right now, feels like it's at an all-time high of that kind of content out there. So make sure you don't just if you're going to watch a video, do a little research and try to find another video on that topic. Like, don't just take the first, clickbait, negative, thumbnail, and it's all bad news.
Doom and
Because
gloom.
I'll use an example of some, like Kevin Commonwealth. He'll put a thumbnail out there that feels that way, but if you actually watch his entire video, he'll usually put a positive spin and a way to help with what he's dealing with. And so make sure, like, don't just go to the negative, the other videos out there that are all just negative about this topic. Watch some other videos that will try to help you resolve those problems that a lot of us are going through this time of year. Because I'll tell you right now, not just my low sales. I have my payout this week is going to be awful because of some of the returns from Christmas. Like, people open their stuff on Christmas, they didn't want it, they didn't like it, it didn't work, whatever they're saying, and they're now returning it. And so I've had some big returns that wiped out most of my payout that's coming out. So, like, am I down in the dumps about that? Yeah. Now I try to stay positive on everything I do. I've always said I'm just going to sell through it. Like, I'm not selling a lot right now, I'm going to list and try to make up for those refunds that I had to give. Like, I had a brand new telephone, brand new in the box. They opened it up, used it, decided they didn't like it, and they're returning it. I offer returns, so now I have to refund them. Now I have some options there, but that's besides the point. Like, but that'll kind of get you feeling like in the dumps about things. So try to list, like, if you have that return, I say, well, I'm gonna list 5 extra items today to try to make the money back on that return. So stuff like that. But just be careful with the YouTube out there. Because right now I feel like, man, maybe it's just me, but it feels like it's like an all-time high of, like, a lot of, negativity out there. And, to each their own on content creating, do what you do. But just, if you're watching it, be careful. Like, don't just get dragged down into that world
You
of
want to
negativity.
call out some people?
I do want to call out some people. Dan in Demand, let me tell you what, that guy has
I put a video out in 3 weeks.
Bad things to say about Whatnot.
I do have some bad stuff to say about Whatnot.
No, but just in general, like, I don't have anybody to call out because it's content, whatever. But I've noticed, like, a lot. Maybe it's just the people that maybe I need to
who are you following?
Sub to.
Who are you following, man?
But I agree. You got to watch everything at face value. What's out there, and I think the more I think going through some of those experiences, right, helps you out also. You know what I mean? As bad as they might feel at that time, I think going through, like, a bad return, or like you had that guy that took the thing out of the code out of that box. Like, dealing with some bad customers, I think also.
You're saying we should all experience a Whatnot sale where we only sell 2 things in an hour. Is that what you're saying?
Did you do a Whatnot show?
No, I'm not doing a Whatnot.
I didn't do a Whatnot show, so
I did a show last week, and I sold 17 items. I was on for about an hour. But I'm not doing a show this week. I was miserable. It was a miserable show. It was absolutely miserable.
Why was it miserable?
I just did not have fun.
I think you're allergic to Whatnot. That's why you're sick now.
No, it was. It was off-putting. It was uncomfortable for me, and I didn't enjoy it. So I'm not gonna do. I went out sourcing. One day I went to Salvation Army. So I've been listing items. I sold 17 items. My goal was to replace 17 items and do a show this week. But I went out sourcing one day, couldn't find anything. That I only found like one shirt to add to my 17 items. So the next day I went to the bins, and when I was at the bins, I didn't find. I didn't look through the clothes very long because
It's so hard to source for Whatnot. Sourcing for Whatnot's a whole nother animal. Like, that's something we need to talk about in the future, Dan. We need to talk about how you go about sourcing for Whatnot, but I don't know that we're going to get into that today because that is a big time reseller topic that we need to have in the future right here on the Pocket Change podcast.